Today we are attempting June 2024 paper 2 variant 2, the directed writing task. And before getting to the question, here are the two texts. Text A by Santina and text B by Raj. Go ahead, take a read. Right, 5 minutes should do. They're short texts, and then we'll take a look at what the question is asking us to do. Okay, now let's check what we're supposed to be doing over here. You have read two comments about zoos on online blog. You have been asked to take part in a classroom debate on whether or not zoos should be banned. Write a speech for your classmates about whether or not you think zoos should be banned. Evaluate the ideas and opinions in both texts. Give your own views about whether or not zoos should be banned based on what you've read in the texts. Base your speech on what you've read in both texts, but be careful to use your own words. Acha ji. Begin your speech with good morning, everyone. Right? So that's important. When they're asking you to begin the speech with good morning, everyone, that is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to begin with that line. All right. The give your own views is, well, you can it's coming to a conclusion and taking a side, but it's also inviting you to include any points regarding zoos for or against that you may know and is not mentioned in either of the text. As far as the texts are concerned, let's go back, take a look at them, and highlight points. Now, as we can see clearly, the first text by Santina is in favor of zoos, and the second one is against, right? And hopefully there are no disagreements over that. So let's start with text A. And there, right, we saw in our specimen that the age of the person who's making the comments does have an effect. Over here we've got 14 and 15-year-olds, so right, they're the same age, and so that's not something to consider. Right, so starting with Santina's text, what points can we highlight over here in favor of zoos? We can either speak out or type it out, whichever you prefer. Seeing animals that can't be seen in the wild. Lines 2 to 3. Moiza, the lining thing would be a bit difficult for line 2 and 3 is easy. It would be a bit difficult to follow, right? Because there are no line numbers given here. See lots of animals you might not be able to see in the wild. Okay, so we've got our first point. What else can we highlight? What else can we mark to be used?
Without expensive overseas money.
I mean, that's just an
Right
extent.
next to
That is just an extension of the same point, right? But yes, it is. It's not just not being able to see them in the wild, but not being able to see them in the wild locally. That's what the point means,
yeah.
right? So if I go out into some rural areas of my locality, I probably won't be able to see lions and elephants and crocodiles. Probably.
A visit to the zoo is also the perfect family outing for all the three.
Okay, so we have great value for okay. Comments are being flooded with points. Okay, great value for money in terms of okay. Uh, Perfect outing.
Lots of exotic animals.
Chance to see lots of exotic animals. Great place for a school trip. Okay, did I miss anything? Help is awareness. A chance to study. Okay. And we have, yeah, okay.
habits.
They help protect them. Where is the protection part? Right. Help protect endangered species. All right. Help visitors change habits. Okay, I think we do have most of it.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun and part of life.
I'm sorry. Could you repeat that a bit clearer?
It's fun because you can spend all day there and it's fun too.
I mean, see, if you're going to, pick out each and every thing, you'd just as well highlight the whole text. Now, for example, right, if you take a look at this chance to see lots of exotic animals and see lots of animals you might not be able to see in the wild, do you think there's an overlap over here? Do you feel there's an overlap in these 2 points that you could perhaps treat them as one? Is that possible? Yes, Haran?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So this was what I was coming to. Uh, right. Great family outing, great place for a school trip. Right. Now, this could be treated as one, or right, because we're talking about two different groups of people. One is your family, the other is a school. Even if you keep it separately, the value for money thing falls into both, right? So whether you're going for a school or a family outing, right, or more likely for a family outing, it's great value for money. For the school, it could be education, right? So then helping to raise awareness. So that is the point. The raise awareness part, you can link it into what you're raising awareness about. And then comes the scientific study and help protect endangered. Now, I'm not going to stop you or discourage you from using all these points. It's just that, as I mentioned multiple times, and we've seen ourselves in the mark scheme, you can't really tell which point Cambridge is considering as a valid point, which one they're not, and which ones they are clumping together, right? Also, uh, looking at the mark scheme, it says responses should be based on some of these general ideas, right? So they're not, their wording suggests that they are not limiting the student response to only what they have highlighted or mentioned in the mark scheme. So, given that, we can very well, leave our selection as it is. If you feel that there's certain points that you can clump together, that's fine, right? If you want to mention them separately, that works as well. Okay. Now, moving on to the second text by Raj, which is against zoos. Right? What points can we extract from here? Oh, you guys were ready at the keyboard. Huh? Much less space. Okay. They live much shorter lives. So we've got 2 points.
Changes in their behavior.
So they've got much less space, and this can lead to changes in behavior. Right now, those points are linked. Right? Just like the animals you can't see in the wild without expensive overseas travel. So the less space leads to changes in behavior. So it's linked. You highlight one, you
Yeah.
can mention the next part as well.
Okay.
Okay. So you guys are flooding the chat. Okay, live short lives, animals taken from wild, no freedom. So let's take that. Animals are taken from the wild. They're treated badly. Okay, now to highlight over here, this point is about the staff not having sufficient. So, Dua, when you are saying that the staff is inefficient, it's not about efficiency more, right? It's rather training. So they're untrained or undertrained, and therefore not properly capable of handling animals, right? So it's not about efficiency meaning how well, in terms like efficiency is it's put against either time or money or something, that can you do something efficiently within, do it properly within a given time frame, or can you get a product in the given uh, funds that we have, something decent. So that's where efficiency would come in. Okay, so zoos don't have, like, sorry, no, the staff doesn't have special knowledge, and so that can mean, so that's linked, right? The animals being treated badly. Zoos aim is to make money, right? So they are commercial, and they put entertainment first, so that should be a linked point. Okay, what else can we get from here? Uh,
They put human entertainment first.
well, that is the make money part, right?
Okay.
I mean, you could take that, or you could take the human entertainment part, whichever works for you. The last paragraph obviously doesn't have anything of relevance.
Can the government part count?
That is the source of money, right? So I was actually looking at better ways to spending public money. That could be a point. So we have got the overcrowding, we have entertainment, and the commercial aspect, the training of the staff, reduced life expectancy. So again, right, we don't have to strictly follow the mark scheme. The mark scheme is just there to guide us as to what to look for. But yes, okay. Okay, so I do believe we have covered enough points. Now, the next thing is for you to decide whether you're in favor or against, and also for me to show you how a speech is written. Where are my resources? Okay, so here you can see a Cambridge document for writing a speech. Okay, so overview, right? Introductory stuff. The language of the speech should be according to the audience. So our audience here are other students, if I'm not mistaken, right? So yes, your classmates. So when you're giving a speech to your classmates, what kind of language will you be using? Formal, informal, or semi-formal?
Semi-formal.
Semi-formal. You can stray into the informal domain, but between semi-formal and informal, you will obviously not be using formal language. Your tone is going to be friendly. It's going to be relaxed. Your choice of words, which means that you can use contractions, you can use humor, you can use figurative language in your speech, and yeah, okay, so you can do all of that. Right. Slang words and chat language is not to be used, even if you're doing an informal piece. If it's completely informal, no chat language, no slang, right? So we know that. You need to, give a reason for your speech, how you feel. So you need to develop this, right? Because they're giving you two sides of the argument, and they're asking you to base your speech on both texts. Your speech is supposed to be argumentative, right? So you're supposed to present both sides of the argument. The simplest method is the one that I've told you, that after the introduction, you present points either in favor or against. So if, for example, you are in favor of zoos, right? So you're like, no, zoos should be there. Then you present the points against first, then you present the points in favor, and if you can link any of those points and negate one or the other. So if you take a look at that, do we have any points where we can do it? Right, so for example, they're saying the study of animals and the protection of endangered species, right? But then you can link it to, well, they live much shorter lives and they've got much less space, right? So I mean, lots of studying and protection you're doing when you aren't even able to give them their proper requirements. Okay, so you can present it that way, and right, negate one for the other, and then you can work your way up to a conclusion. Now, over here, you can take a possible neutral stance, right? If you want, you can clearly take one side or the other, that you are clearly in favor of zoos, and as I've mentioned, right, in our previous ventures into dieted writing, you save one or 2 points, or from the ones you've highlighted, or you include some points of your own. You do the evaluation and stuff, and right, you present something new in your conclusion. If you are taking a stance that is one way or the other, you could be neutral, and for example, if you are in favor, then you say, right, zoos are a good thing, and then you talk about the disadvantages of zoos or the points against them, and you sort of try to you know, sort them out by saying staff need to be trained further, or zoos, they should be, government should make it law by implementing space requirements for the animals, that would make them comfortable, or something of. So you could possibly be neutral. Okay. How to engage your listeners? You make it inclusive, right? So you make it about we and us. You don't make it about you don't make it second or third person, right? Because if you're making it second person, it feels like you're sort of separating yourself from the crowd and perhaps blaming them, or trying to represent their views and you're not part of it. To engage the audience, you need to show that you are part of them, right? And so the we and the us and our, right? And this is standard for any speech. So the organization, the opening, right? You can use rhetorical questions, uh, and right, development and a powerful conclusion, paragraphing, obviously, and connections using likewise and similarly and in addition and all of those. So have you taken a look at this? I do believe you've taken a look at this earlier as well, right? The experiment thing. It seems familiar. Anyway, right now, what I want you to look at over here is just the style, not the content, because this sample is not from the latest requirements, right? From the 2024 syllabus onwards. So the way it's right, the content that you won't find analysis and evaluation. You just find sort like a story over here, but the style, the right. So we can take a look at the annotations. The learner poses a question to involve the audience, right? Showing that they're thinking about how these words would be spoken over here, right? Varying the pace, so they're including what you would, that you would pause while speaking. Over here they're using a dash. Now we've covered the grammar part in our earlier classes, so you can use punctuations to represent if you're slowing down, or if you're thinking, you're taking a pause, right? You can use those punctuations. You can use an ellipsis, you can use a hyphen, colon, right? Up to you. Okay, possible, taking into account possible audience reaction, linking words, right? Maintaining a semi-formal but relaxed tone, fewer attempts at more complex structures. You can do better than that, right? They haven't given a grade to this thing, which doesn't help a lot. Okay, rhetorical devices to keep the audience engaged. So over here, uh, fellow classmates, you know how torturing it is to memorize English vocabulary, don't you? Right now, this kind of question, you're not expecting a response from your audience. You're just engaging them by phrasing something as a question. And finally, the learner has organized their anecdotes. An anecdote is a short story of some event that happened, and when you're sharing that with someone, right, that's an anecdote. So the whole thing in this case is an anecdote, his entire speech, and it's been organized into clear paragraphs and offering some detailed and development. And okay, have they given further analysis over here? They have not, unfortunately. Right, so some of these documents, I believe it's for the 0510 syllabus for IGCSE. That's English as a second language. So in the samples, they actually give areas where improvement could be made. They haven't given that over here. I don't know if a newer sample has been published by Cambridge, but we don't have that at the moment. Now, with the time we have left, just opening up the whiteboard, and let's see if we can do just a bit of evaluation and maybe a sample of rewording. So you have to rephrase the points. You're not going to copy paste them, as you know. Okay. There's the whiteboard. Let me put it up on screen for you guys. There we are. Now, as for rephrasing, so for example, you have the phrase from the first text, a perfect family outing. And you can rephrase that as, right, great option for a family trip, for example. Right, helping to raise awareness and you can obviously, right, say educate people or visitors about the animals. Right, and they're talking about endangered animals, so you could say especially the one at risk or highest risk. Then another point is help protect endangered species. Hence, you can rephrase that as provide a sanctuary to threatened. You can use, you don't need to rephrase each and every word. So species, right? Or you could just say that. So that is an example, right? Just some of the rephrasing you can do. Obviously, that's from text A. Let's do one or two from text B as well. And so they have much less space than in the wild. And you can rewrite that as their enclosures are far too confined relative to the space they naturally require. right? And staff in zoos often don't have specialist knowledge. So you can say that staff generally tend to be, you can say, untrained, or they lack training, they lack appropriate training. Right. Then we come to the evaluations, the analysis and the evaluations. So as I mentioned, one way of going about is sort of putting points in comparison. Right. Now, whether you're for or against, that will influence how you go about your analysis and evaluation. If you're you need to pick a side. Even if you're taking a neutral stance, you need to pick a side and then try to reconcile the other side of the argument. So I said, if I'm of zoos, this is what I would say, right? That you need to give proper training and all that. Uh, if I'm against zoos, then my approach would be, no, zoos don't help animals. And then I would say that whatever you're studying, okay, fine, then you can, not have zoos, but, conservations and sanctuaries and protected areas, perhaps, and, give them proper space and not make it a public event. So, whichever side you're choosing, I'm just writing that down. You can maintain zoos with appropriate space for animals and have trained zookeepers. Zookeepers or handlers. If you are in favor of zoos, if you're against zoos, you could say, you know, uh, restrict the number and types of animals, right? It should not be commercial. So no, I mean, at most, right? So no, you know, it would be not a public, uh, you know, or tourist spot. So it's only going to focus on the science and the research and the protection. So that is some analysis, evaluation, comparison you could do. Then, right, it's also going beyond what's given in the text. So helping visitors to change any shopping or eating habits. So probably, right, again, educate and guide people about how they can change their lifestyle habits, if at all, right? So you can even argue that, right? Can our, lifestyle choices help endangered animals, for example? Now, obviously, you don't want to try and say something that you can't handle, right? So you're opening up a topic of discussion that you can't really provide information on. So you don't want to delve deep into that. You can touch on it in passing. You need to handle it tactfully. Uh, yeah. So are just some ideas about analysis and evaluation. And this is something again, right? So if you just rephrase and put your points over there, just like you would do for a summary, you're not going to score too much. So analysis and evaluation is something that Cambridge asks of the students. Now, I've heard that, you know, they were perhaps stricter in their checking in the beginning, but now they have, awarded higher grades to even writings that aren't that good in these terms, but that is not a benchmark for us. Okay, so we're going to try and focus on presenting our points not just as rephrased points, but with the processing that the analysis and evaluation demands. Okay, so this is going to go into the list of tasks that you guys will be having. So as I mentioned at the beginning of class, right, there are two summary tasks and right, one directed writing task previously and include this one. So there are two directed writing tasks and one composition task. Okay, so the summary task from Jan 25th and 2nd Feb, directed writing from Jan 25th and today 9th Feb, and the composition from Jan 31. Right, so you've got 5 writing tasks to do, and hopefully we'll have decent number of responses for the next time. Now tomorrow, obviously, since this is all we have to do, right, there's just 4 tasks in all of English. So tomorrow we will start with another round of past papers with a comprehension. Okay, hopefully I haven't missed anything in the chat. I haven't. Are there any questions?
No.
All right, so I'll be uploading this directed writing task on Google Classroom, informing you in the group. Please do attempt all the tasks, all 5 of them, right? So we can get into some review and some feedback, right? Because if you don't do that, there's no point in just, doing lots of comprehensions and just discussing the tasks. Writing them out is important. Okay, now I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Allah
Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.